Welcome back, everyone. We have some exciting news today. We got a bunch of new cards, and two leaders were revealed. Well, we did see them earlier, but now their text box are revealed. And let's just get into them because that's the fun part. All right, first off, we got Moff Gideon, and he is a new green-black leader. His action ability is turn him sideways, attack with a unit that costs 3 or less. If it's attacking another unit, it gets +1 attack, and when you get to 5 resources, you can deploy him. His deploy side is a 3/6 body with overwhelm, and then he just gets to do his tap ability on everyone, but they also gain overwhelm. So all friendly units that cost 3 or less get +1/+0 and gain overwhelm, but only while attacking an enemy unit. So if we think about the green-black units we have right now, we have Palpatine and Tarkin. So I'd say this compares mostly to Tarkin. They both come out at 5. Similar stats, he's a 3/6, while Tarkin's a 2/7. Um, he seems aggressive in the sense that he has overwhelm, but I say this is just more chip damage than aggression. I actually say he's really good at controlling the early game, where Tarkin has to spend an entire resource to buff something up. Gideon just does it for free as long as it costs 3 or less. So that means your 2-drop and 3-drop might be able to trade with your opponent's 2-drop and 3-drop, respectively, without dying. For example, if you have a 2/3, they have a 2/3. Well, now your 2/3 is a 3/3, which is pretty good. I think that is actually a great way to control the board. So I really do like his ability, even though it seems underwhelming. It is really good for the first 2 turns. Maybe you'll use it a little bit in the later parts of the game, but having a good control of the game for the first 2 turns is probably the most important for a control deck, because against an aggro deck, right, you just killed 2 dudes, you kept your guys alive, and you're pretty happy. It also lets you trade up sometimes. If you're playing, the 3/1 Stormtrooper, you turn it into a 4/1, and now it's killing, cards that cost 3. So his ability is pretty cool in that regard. When you summon him, I don't know how much value you're going to get of giving everyone +1 while attacking an enemy unit, right? You can't be aggressive because they only get the +1 while attacking units. So, his flip side is just all right. I do like that he comes out at 5. Sadly, he doesn't compete with Boba in the 4/7 stat realm. But I do actually really like Moff Gideon, and I think he'll be a welcome addition to Green. Um, and do not forget that he is an Imperial and an official. So those 2 tags are pretty important for gaining buffs and for giving other cards buffs. So I do like those tags. Next up, we have, I really like this art, by the way, the Mandalorian. His leader side is you may exhaust this leader. If you do, exhaust an enemy unit with 4 or less remaining HP. And once you control 6 resources, you flip him over. He is a 4/7, which again, Boba stats, but costs 1 more to get out there. And whenever you play an upgrade, you may exhaust an enemy unit with 6 or less remaining HP. He's a lot more hard to evaluate right now, just because we don't know what upgrades are coming out. But I will say his body is, we'll just say like maybe a little weak, but average for what comes out on 6. I really like having 7 defense. I think it survives a lot of stuff. Being able to tap most things whenever you play an upgrade is pretty powerful. How often do you want to be tapping things though? Because this is a hero card, so are we tapping things so our opponent can't trade back with us? It's because it seems like a really controlling effect, but it's in a more aggressive color nature. So we'll have to see how that goes. I will say there's the card you'll see soon, a new capture mechanic that might make capturing a little bit easier due to his effect. And on his leader side, I actually like that it's free. I think this is very, very broken because it costs nothing, right? You just get to exhaust an enemy unit if you play an upgrade. Well, that's nuts. Like, it turns every single upgrade in my deck to exhaust an enemy unit with 4 or less HP. That's everything early game. It even can work on late game stuff if they're taking damage, right? Your opponent plays Vader. hit something on the next turn, I play an upgrade and tap the Vader down. Right? That's really powerful and really hard for your opponent to play around since it can hit anything. Right? It doesn't even say non-enemy leader. I think this is one of the most powerful base leader effects that we've gotten, and I'm excited to play this card. Um, yeah, Mandalorian's super cool. All right, let's talk about the bad guy cards that were revealed. First up, we got Phase 3 Dark Trooper. It is a 3/3 Imperial Droid Trooper. So him being a trooper is very nice for relevant buffs in black. This is also a strict upgrade if you're playing green to Cell Block Guard, because it also has Sentinel, can be summoned by Darth Vader, and when given combat damage is dealt to this unit, it gets an experience token as long as it survives the combat. I think that effect is okay. It has to be combat damage, so like a Vader ping isn't going to give him experience tokens. But sometimes this thing can kill something, survive, and now has an extra defense or attack, allowing it to kill something else. But if you were playing Cell Block Guard in your deck, you're probably playing green, and now you just play this card instead. It also just increases the number of Sentinels in general that you can have that cost 3. So if you want to be a very defensive Sentinel heavy deck, you just got a whole new tool. And again, him being a trooper is very nice. Next up, we got Calculated Lethality. It is a 4-cost event that says defeat a non-leader unit that costs 3 or less. For each upgrade that was on that unit, give an experience token to a friendly unit. So I don't know if it's just the structure decks that are going to be upgrade heavy or the whole set. But right now, I'd say this card seems weak because there's a card that costs the same that kills things with 5 or less health, which I say usually hits more things. But in a world where people are throwing a bunch of upgrades on a lot of cheap things, I can see this card being pretty good. But also in that world, I'd rather just probably be playing Waylay. But if I can't play yellow for some reason, and maybe this will be the chosen card. I see it having a lot less promise than cards that are already out right now. But again, if there's cheap units that are very common, that have very high defense, maybe we choose to play this, but I don't think so. Next up, we got Gideon's Light Cruiser. It is an 8-costed 7/8 spaceship. And I like having a big spaceship that's not a legendary. It has Overwhelm, and when played, if you control Moff Gideon, play a bad guy unit that costs 3 or less from your hand or discard pile for free. I like that it can come from your hand too, but obviously discard pile is the go-to. Um, I do like this card, but it is a little expensive. It's nice that it's neutral in the sense that you can play this in every bad guy deck, right? It's not 2-color restricted. But obviously, you're getting a lot more value by playing it with Moff Gideon. So probably only goes in a Moff Gideon deck, but again, can go in any bad guy deck without paying an extra 2. Playing a unit for free is similar to the Home 1 effect. I do truly believe that Home 1 is a very strong card. Home 1 can get anything, though, because it just reduces it by 3, so you can actually pay more expensive things if you have the extra resources. But it has that Home 1-esque effect. It has similar stats to Home 1. This card has Overwhelm, while Home 1 has Restore. And so I think if you want more recursion in your deck, this is a lot of value. Like you play Darth Vader on 7, and then you play Gideon on 8, and you have a huge toolbox of 3-drops now. I really enjoy that. So I do think this card will be played. But it really depends on how good Moff Gideon is at being a control deck and how good is it at making it to 8 resources consistently, because that deck seems like it wants to be playing something on, 5, 7, and 8 for sure, because they're very powerful cards on 5, 7, and 8 in green. And we'll have to see how that goes. But I do like this card. All right, now we got the good guy cards. We got the Mandalorian's Rifle. It is a 3-cost upgrade. So it's nice to see an upgrade. Attached to a friendly non-vehicle unit, that makes sense. When played, if attached unit is the Mandalorian, he captures an exhausted enemy non-leader unit. Capture. So we got a new mechanic there. And capturing is putting the capture card face down under him until he leaves play. And to me, that reads that once your Mandalorian leaves play, they're going to get back their unit. I mean, that's what I would assume. I wouldn't assume that the unit dies or anything. I would say they get it back. I could be wrong about this, uh, but I think they get their unit back. So let's say we play this on something that isn't the Mandalorian. I think it's trash F tier. Paying three resources just for a +3 is pretty bad. But if we play it on the Mandalorian, capturing an exhausted unit is pretty strong. We're pretty much just taking the card that my opponent just played, and it's gone. Poof. Hopefully we're playing the Mandalorian leader, and now he's a 7/7, which is pretty cool, and he would be pretty hard to kill. So we can consider doing that. I don't really know how to evaluate this card because it's really interesting. I mean, again, like we want to be playing this on our leader unit most of the time instead of a non-leader unit Mandalorian, which we'll see on the next page. Just because leaders are a lot harder to remove than non-leaders, and once you equip this, you really don't want them getting their card back. But it is a huge tempo swing to just kill anything. Kill in parentheses, right? Just kill anything, it's gone. It's a big tempo swing in your favor. All right, next up we got a 4 resource space unit. It is a 3/4 Razor Crest, has the Mandalorian tag, which could be relevant, and has Restore 2. When played, you may return an upgrade from your discard pile to your hand. I really like that there's going to be now an upgrade toolbox. So we'll see how that goes. Again, this card's worth is probably dependent on how good upgrades are in general. So far we're looking at an okay one. Uh, maybe they'll make actually multiple Mandalorian units, and then this becomes even better. But again, card's better on leaders. But we'll have to see what the other upgrades look like in general before evaluating how strong Razor Crest is. In terms of stats, it's a little underpowered, but spaceships with 4 defense actually live through most spaceships in general. So I would say it is a sticky unit in that sense. It having restore makes it more control-y. So could see play in some sort of upgrade control list. But again, the stats are a little bad. So. And next up, we got Baby Yoda. Let's go. All right, it is a 2-cost 0/5 force unit with the action to exhaust an enemy unit. So we got our first card that has 5 defense, being a 2-drop. In fact, there's not many 5 defense 3-drops in this game, so that's really exciting. Him having the force tag opens up a whole can of worms for doing all sorts of things. There was only, I think, one 2-drop before with the force tag, and it was a 2/2. So this definitely is better at holding lightsabers, which is really cool. And I really like that it's better at holding lightsabers. So we'll see how good this card performs in that sense. But on the control side of things, I think exhausting an enemy unit is a very strong effect. It's exactly what a control-y thing wants to do. Like I play this body that's really hard for you to remove, and the first thing I do in my turn is exhaust your best unit. It makes your opponent sometimes have to take the initiative early to avoid just losing their unit for the turn. I really wish this card was in yellow-black, to be honest. It would make Thrawn just so incredibly annoying to play against with 2-tap effects every turn. I don't think Thrawn would ever pay 4 for this, though. Could be wrong. But I do have a lot of high hopes for this card. We did just see the straight up removal for it with calculated lethality, but that costs 4. So whenever they're paying 4 to remove a 2-drop, we're pretty happy. But yeah, let's go on. And now we got the Mandalorian. So we have his unit side, and he's holding little Baby Yoda right there. It has the Mandalorian tag, Bounty Hunter, 5-6 stats, so a little bit better than Obi-Wan stats for the same cost. Has Sentinel just like Obi-Wan does, and when played, you may heal all damage from a unit that costs 2 or less, and give 2 shield tokens to it. Holy moly, this guy wants to protect Baby Yoda so badly. Right? This seems like the perfect synergistic card. You have the 0-5 that you put a bunch of upgrades on, and now you're full healing it, giving it 2 shields, and saying, good luck, brother. Again, we did see the straight counter of just removing it, but not all decks can play that card. And man, does this card seem annoying if you're playing a heavy focus 2-drop deck, just like 2-drop good stuff, and then I'm playing the Mandalorian. But when we compare it to Obi-Wan, like Obi-Wan draws cards and gives experience tokens. I would say in general, Obi-Wan is going to feel a little bit better. But this is definitely a cool build around card where I can see, being very annoying for our opponent, especially if you just, healed and buffed up your 2-drop. They have to spend the removal on that. But hey, you have a 5-6 body. Like this thing hits and protects. So that is really that's really relevant, I think. I like this card a lot. Next up we have Wanted. It is a 0-drop upgrade. Attached unit gains bounty. Ready to friendly resources. So what is bounty? Another new mechanic. It is when this unit is defeated or captured, its opponent collects its bounty. So if you guys are a little bit confused on that, you're going to put Wanted on their unit. And then once you defeat their unit or capture their unit, you're going to ready 2 resources. So in a Boba deck, you can now ready 5 resources in one turn. Woo! Which is pretty cool. So this card will have use in decks that are able to gain card advantage in other ways. So they don't feel as bad about spending a card to gain 2 resources. And it will do good in decks that have really easy to use removal tools and where they can spend the extra 2 resources that they're getting. Like Boba, because that starts to compound when you put Wanted on something and Boba attack, and you get 4 resources back. That's a lot of resources back. Like you can play a 4-drop now. Like you play 2 4-drops on your Boba turn. That's kind of spooky. Again, it does cost a whole card to do that, but if we're seeing more draw power, I'm not too worried about spending a card, especially in this game where you draw 2 cards every turn. Like there's an easy way to get more cards, and it's just by not resourcing for a turn. But yeah, Wanted is real interesting, and I'm excited to see what other cool upgrades we get like this. Like I like upgrades that are especially meant for our opponent's cards. Like first we had Traitorous, now we have Wanted, and I want to know what's coming next. And yeah, guys, those are all the new cards. If you enjoyed the video, please like, comment, subscribe, the whole spiel. Tell me in the comments below what you think the best card that was revealed today, and if you're a Mandalorian fan or a Moff fan. And as always, guys, peace.